Hello and welcome to the Guardian Football Weekly World Cup previews, Group I to L. A Group L, how long before teams are in Group Z, knocking it into Row Z? England and the rest of Group L can wait until the end as we continue alphabetically. Group I, France and their squad, goodness. But a tricky group, Senegal and Norway, and a tough old draw for Iraq. All the sides in Group J begin with A: Argentina, Algeria, Austria and Jordan. Okay, 3 of them do. Group K: Portugal, DR Congo, Uzbekistan and Colombia. And then Group L: can Tuchel's boys do it? England, those Croatians, I don't have to say it, Ghana and Panama. This is the Guardian Football Weekly. Right, previewing these 4 groups. Johnny Liew, welcome.
Hello.
Bonjour, ça va? Philippe Auclair.
Ça va, mon vieux?
And hello, Barry Glendenning.
Bonjour.
Okay, then Group I, France, Senegal, Iraq and Norway. France managed still by Didier Deschamps. Won it, of course, in 98 and 2018. Runners-up last time. Senegal managed by Pape Thiaw. Got to the quarterfinals in 2002, last 16 last time out. Iraq managed by the Australian Graham Arnold. Best ever is the group stages. And Norway managed by Sal Solbakken. Got to the round of 16 in 1998. France then, Philippe. Very good squad, isn't it? Deschamps' 4th World Cup. Has he won you over yet?
No. But he doesn't care because he's won other things which are far more important than me. I think when you say squad, I think you have to qualify that a little bit because, first of all, there's the bad news that William Saliba has done his back and that he might not be available for the first game at least of the World Cup. So which is a bit of a pity because he's probably our best, I was going to say ball playing centre back. Other than that, it's a team that's very heavily, when you look at it, it's completely unbalanced, by which I mean the attacking potential of it is absolutely frightening. And the defense can be a bit frightening as well from time to time because it is not very well balanced. And I would also say that our midfield is nowhere as strong as it has been in the past. When you have to rely perhaps on N'Golo Kante at the age of 35 to hold everything together. Tchouaméni didn't have the greatest of seasons. Rabiot, I don't need to tell you who Rabiot is. But going forward, it's true that if you can be embarrassed by riches, France is hiding under the carpet because it's just insane. Even with Hugo Ekitike missing, who probably would have been playing, probably on the left wing, had he been fit. But still, when you've got the likes of Mbappé and Dembélé and Barcola and Désiré Doué, who was absolutely brilliant, by the way, in their last warm-up game. And
Olise. Who starts?
And Ryan Cherky.
Yeah.
It's a big problem because, it's not a big problem. It will depend the kind of tactical setup that Deschamps uses. You would imagine that there are some players that he will not be able to leave out, and that's Dembélé and Mbappé. And I would say myself, Michael Olise, but I'm not even sure about that. It would be possible perhaps if Kylian accepted to go on the left wing rather than stay in the middle, to have a team like you would have Mbappé, Dembélé, Doué and Olise behind them, which I have to say, I quite like the sound of that. And with the possibility of Cherky coming from the bench as a number 10, plus Barcola as a joker, you think that's brilliant. So yes, it's who do you leave out in attack? But I maintain that we do have problems at the back. When honestly, players like Dayot Upamecano and Ibrahima Konate do not really inspire confidence. Again, had pretty difficult season in the case of Konate. There is still the problem of right back, despite the best Jules Koundé being very good in some ways, in many ways, in fact. And people were actually saying maybe we should have Warren Zaïre-Emery playing at that. It's the defense and the midfield for me are not as strong as they have been in the past. Attacking wise, yes, it's probably one of the strongest French team ever on potential on paper, but it's not a balanced team, and that's why I don't think that France can be seen as the out favorite for the competition.
What do you think, Johnny?
I think Philippe's right in a lot of ways. I mean, this is, I think it was a few months ago when they played against Colombia, and Deschamps gets asked about about bolstering the midfield, and he sort of makes a joke about, oh, I'm an attacking coach now. I've been holding them back long enough, which is nice. But it's also the sort of thing coaches start to say when, well, actually they've got one eye on their legacy. You know, there's a sort of, is it harsh to say there's like a Southgate 2024 vibe to all this? Obviously, we know Deschamps is leaving after this tournament. We know Zidane is coming in, and we know that there is a huge amount of pressure domestically for Deschamps to get the most out of this incredible wealth of attacking talent. And you know, we got a taste of what that might be like, and this front four that people assume is going to be the first choice front four: Elise, Dembele, Doué, and Mbappe. They've only actually started one game together before, which was the Nations League semi-final against Spain last summer. And if you remember what happened then, they were 4-0 down. They were absolutely overrun. And obviously, you know, a lot of water under the bridge since then. But I think it just underlines the delicacy of that balance, the delicacy that Deschamps actually has struck so well in previous tournaments, in providing that firm platform, you know, and now we're in this place where, you know, the questions are how much structure do they actually need? How much freedom should they be given? I think the talent in that squad gets them to, you know, quarterfinals, semi-finals without too much trouble. Actually, they are simply that good, and their highest level, the level of football they're capable of playing is so high. But against teams that can really hurt them, that can play against them with genuine freedom and invention, I do wonder whether that defense is going to hold up against really, really elite opposition.
One thing as well is that I think the most fluid and fluent performance I've seen from France recently was in the friendly against Colombia. You know, they went to America, they played Brazil with what I would call the A team, and then he used the A plus B players for the game against Colombia, wearing, by the way, the most magnificent kit that I've seen a French team play in for a very long time, reminiscent of the 1982 legendary team, and they looked fantastic. But anyway, my point being that it was the most fluid and fluent performance, and who was starting? Actually, Cherki and Akliouche both started that game. And they played with a freedom. One-touch football. It was absolutely extraordinary. It was like watching one of those 80s team, or perhaps the 2000 team as well. And this is when Désiré Doué actually scored his first 2 goals for France. So, and I finished watching the game thinking, well, I don't know exactly where I stand with this team, because most of the people I've just seen, most of the players who have been so convincing, would probably not be in the team that will start the tournament in America. So these are choices that Deschamps is going to have to make. And I'd like to hope that this being his last tournament for France, he's going to take the handbrakes off and be perhaps a little bit more, encourage his players to be a bit
more Ozzy Ardiles, be more Ange Postecoglou.
Yeah, be more Aussie. But you know what? I don't think that's going to happen.
No, Baz, but below France, I mean, we presume they'll win the group. And then how do you see it?
I think Senegal finished second. They have a rock-solid defence. They only conceded 2 goals in 7 games at AFCON, which they won, then didn't win. And now, as we've established, we don't know whether they might win it again. They have a big mix of experience and youth. So tournament know-how in the form of Sadio Mane, Kalidou Koulibaly, Idrissa Gana Gueye, Edouard Mendy. And then they've like a trio of teenagers that have been chucked into the squad: Asana Diao, Ibrahim Mbaye from PSG, and Sapoto Ndiaye from Bayern Munich. Apologies for the mangled pronunciations. But I think they are the African team that is most likely to go deep into the tournament. Probably too good to be referred to as dark horses. I was wondering, Philippe, is their match, so they open against France, that I think France might not necessarily win that game. It could even lose it. But is that a big needle match?
It certainly is.
Yeah.
All the more so that Papio, the manager, was in the team of the 2002 World Cup. He didn't play against France, but he gave the pass that gave. He gave the pass to Henri Camara, which the golden goal, which enabled them to go to beat Sweden. But he wasn't that group of players, the Bruno Metsu group of players. So yes, there is needle. It's, by the way, it's not unpleasant needle. There's just a very competitive,
it's a nice
shall we
needle,
say.
right?
It's a nice needle, but I'm not absolutely sure that France will finish top of that group at all. And when I see that group, I really regret the fact that the 8 best placed third teams will go through. Because if it were only 2 out of 4, this group would be absolutely monstrous. Senegal are really, really, really tough. And when you've got a front line with Ndiaye, Jackson and Mane, and you realize that's not even what they're the strongest, but as Barry said rightly, their defense, which is just crazy. And we've seen as well, what they did in the AFCON. They're basically with Morocco the best African team, and that's saying a lot. So I would say Senegal, I've got a chance, and they've got a chance to top that group if they start well against France. Absolutely.
And as well, Johnny, you've got Norway, who do have Haaland, supported by Sorloth and Strand Larsen, big man, with Ødegaard behind them. Like they are a top-heavy team. Lars mentioned it the other day, but that is not a team you want to play against particularly.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I think a lot of people are talking them up as dark horses. The famous tournament dark horse, which is probably putting the kiss of death on them. But they were the top scorers in qualifying. We know what they did. The way they tore Italy apart in qualifying was frightening. So this is a squad that obviously marshalled and led by Haaland, and the threat he creates goes into this tournament with a huge amount of hope and quite a bit of expectation. Actually, there aren't that many precedents for a team coming back to the World Cup after such a long layoff and doing well. Turkey in 2002, you'd say, is perhaps the only real outlier, but generally, that the tournament know-how is such a huge deal, and you wonder that if Norway get to a big knockout game, or whether that lack of tournament know-how is going to sort of derail them. But they do have so much talent, as and Ødegaard and Sander Berge and Nusa and Oscar Bob as well. It's a really, really, really stacked team.
And I have to confession, I'm speaking to you from Oslo, so where Norway beat Sweden last night.
It's your Nobel Prize finally, Philippe.
You would. I have actually been put up in the hotel where the Nobel Prizes stay, which I could not afford if I were not invited to that conference. But there you go. In any case, more importantly, Norway beat Sweden last night. It was basically their farewell game before they flew off to the World Cup, and they left Martin Ødegaard on the bench. Obviously, Erling Haaland didn't play either, but Strand Larsen scored 2, and Norway were really good, very, very good. And what really is impressive is that how relaxed they seem to be. Even in this country where people are very critical towards football, as you know, Norwegian fans have got very strong views about the World Cup. I've got very strong views about sports washing and all this sort of thing. But they really, that team is really has provoked an output of, enthusiasm, which is quite remarkable and which doesn't seem to have got to them at all. As they seem to be totally relaxed in that role. And they are, are they dark horses? I don't know. Are they a little bit not as light as other horses? Probably. But there is a really wonderful dynamic and momentum behind them right now. And I think they're more balanced and more complete than perhaps they're given credit for. Or not given credit for.
But as a word on Iraq, I mean, the scenes in Baghdad when they qualified were quite unbelievable. Australian Graham Arnold, the manager, but they've been given quite a tough little draw here.
That's for sure. And I think, weirdly, if they can get a result, it's unlikely. This could be one of the groups where third doesn't go through, which would be remarkable. Because when you look at it on the face of it, you just go, oh, well, it's going to be France, Senegal, Norway through. But it's their first World Cup for 40 years. They beat Bolivia in an intercontinental playoff to get to it. Graham Arnold is a good coach. They've got this awful draw. I reckon they will be happy with a point. A win would be excellent and could really put the cat among the pigeons, and getting out of the group would be the stuff of their absolute dreams, but it seems so unlikely.
Group J then, Argentina, Algeria, Austria and Jordan. Argentina managed by Lionel Scaloni for West Ham fans. Won it in 78, 86 and of course last time out, 2022. Algeria managed by Vladimir Petkovic. Best ever is the round of 16 in 2014. Austria, that's where Ralph Rangnick is, came third in 1954. And Jamal Salami manages Jordan, their first appearance at the World Cup. This, Johnny, seems like a pleasant draw for Argentina.
Yeah, it is actually, and which is, I think, quite a good thing for them, because we saw how slowly they started 4 years ago, where Saudi Arabia, let's be real, almost put them out in the first weekend, and Argentina spent the last 2 or 3 years playing quite a lot of what I'd call joke friendlies. You know, they've been playing teams like, you know, Australia and Beijing and Indonesia and Puerto Rico. Basically, what they've done is they've tried to take their most bankable asset on like a US tour. It's basically like a Springsteen tour. They're trying to play. They've been trying to play every city in the US, and you know they've been taking them to New Haven and Sacramento and you know, Fort Worth, whatever, and it creates a bit of an issue, really, because first of all, you know, it's allowed them to sweat their most bankable asset, the most famous player in the world, and pretend they're acclimatizing for the World Cup. But it's hard to see any point where they've been remotely tested in any of these friendlies, which makes it kind of hard to gauge where they are as a team. It's, you know, the spine of it, the continuity from 4 years ago. I think 10 of the 11 started, basically everyone except Di Maria from the 2022 final is in this squad. So obviously, you know, Scaloni's gone for continuity there, and this is essentially a squad that's 4 years older. Martinez is 4 years older. Messi is 4 years older. Tagliafico is 4 years older. I saw a clip, you know, like a couple of months ago of Otamendi, who may well start for them in central defence, getting put on the floor for Benfica by some teenager called Oscar Piaszewski, and looking like every day of his 38 years. Yeah, essentially. He's 38 years old. Otamendi is 38 years old, and he could end up starting in central defence for the defending champions. So the formula, I think, is pretty clear that, you know, they're going to use their nous, and they're going to use their platform and their stability to suffer and sweat and take teams to, you know, to the places they don't want to go. But it's really hard to gauge what their highest level is, because we haven't really seen, you know, we haven't really seen them play at a high level, arguably since the last Copa America.
Yeah, and I wonder, Baz, like, will Messi become an issue like Ronaldo? Like, he can't play like Messi used to play, but he isn't Ronaldo, you know.
I don't think he's as petulant and self-indulgent as Cristiano Ronaldo is.
But that is a high bar.
Yeah. He will need to have his minutes managed. He will need Julian Alvarez and Lautaro Martinez to help him out and step up, take some of the weight off his shoulders. This Argentina team, as Johnny said, the continuity is strong, but there's a real end of an era feel about this. I have a feeling they might not do very well. But they're obviously in with a shout. They're nowhere near the runaway favourites they were last time, but I wouldn't be surprised if they had a very early exit.
I wouldn't be surprised if there were a couple of very strange results in that group, to be honest. It looks like Argentina and 3 others, but I think it's a bit more unpredictable than that. I'm really quite curious to see what this Algerian team is going to do with Petkovic, who is somebody who, talk about big tournament experience, he's got it. And you look at some of that Algerian squad, I mean, still captained by Riyad Mahrez, by the way. There are some absolutely terrific players. And I mean absolutely terrific players. And I really don't know what exactly to expect of them. For me, they're a bit of an unknown quantity. And also I look at this Jordanian team, and I know everybody's going to laugh at them, but have a look at what they did at the end of last year in the Arab Cup. They were absolutely fantastic. They were only beaten in extra time by Morocco, after beating Saudi Arabia and Egypt, who are two powerhouses. And they had a fantastic tournament. That was just a few months ago. And we have we don't know those players. I mean, apart from perhaps there's one who plays for Ipswich Town, whose name who is on the Ipswich Town books, which is not quite the same thing as playing for Ipswich Town.
Sure.
But yes, but they are a team that could surprise people. And this group for me looks like I don't really know what's going to happen, which is one thing to look forward to. And I do think as well that this Argentinian team doesn't fill me with utmost confidence, to be honest.
Johnny, you go with that?
I think so. I mean, obviously you look at Jordan as the kind of, the outsiders. Algeria, like we say, they actually have, they have a good pedigree, they have a good squad. Austria are the team that can, that can really hurt them. We know how they're going to play under Ralf Rangnick, and that game against Argentina, the Argentina-Austria game in Dallas at noon local time, has real kind of epic potential. They've got Marko Arnautovic in what's almost certainly going to be his last tournament. They've got all of the the Prem legends, the Barclays legends that we know, guys like Marcel Sabitzer and Kevin Danso, and so if Austria can adapt their style of play to the conditions that they're going to face this summer, and they won't be able to play their like incredibly high energy, high pressing style. They won't be able to press high and play like and run like demons for 90 minutes. If they can adapt, I think they have a squad that potentially could top the group, but certainly could bloody the noses of one of the tournament favourites.
Just one thing about Algeria, they have to cover almost 5,000 kilometres, jump in 2 time zones in their 3 qualifying games, which is, I think, well over twice the distance anyone else has to travel. I don't know if that'll be an issue in these days of luxury first-class private planes and whatnot, but it is possibly worth noting. Also, Austria, Paul Weiner from PSV and Carney Chukwuemeka, Borussia Dortmund, ex-Aston Villa and Chelsea, they've just declared for Austria, having previously played underage football for Germany and England, respectively.
Oh, interesting. And that'll do for part 1. We'll do Group K in part 2. Hi, Pod fans. Max here. Barry's here too.
Hello.
Now, Football Weekly is supported by Gradient FC. Now, Barry, we've talked a lot on the pod about football analytics, XG and all that. And those pod fans who are deep into football analytics will probably already know Gradient Sports. They work with pro clubs across Europe's top leagues to provide player performance insights. But now they're bringing that same pro-level analysis directly to fans through the Gradient FC app.
Sounds interesting. What does it do?
Well, each match is graded by a team of experts who evaluate over 2,000 player actions per match, not just by outcome, but by execution. So, for example, a completed pass that leads the receiver into danger is graded negatively, while one that puts the receiver in on goal is graded positively.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, and with Gradient FC, you get some of the deepest metrics available to ordinary fans, like line-breaking passes, dribbles into dangerous positions, and chance creations. Now, I know you hate making match predictions, Barry, but maybe all that could change with Gradient FC, with head-to-head player comparison tools that show you who's best across more than 100 grades and metrics. It's easy to build and defend any prediction. And here's something else that will appeal to you, Barry. It's free.
Well, I am surprised to hear that, Max.
Well, explore it for yourself at gradientfc.com or download the Gradient FC app from the Apple App Store or Google Play, or use the QR code on screen now. Welcome to part 2 of the Guardian Football Weekly. So Group K, Portugal, DR Congo, Uzbekistan and Colombia. Portugal managed by managed by Roberto Martinez, came third in 1966. Last time out got to the quarterfinals. DR Congo, managed by Sebastian Desabare, best in the group stage of Zaire in 1974. Uzbekistan, managed by Fabio Cannavaro, that's where he is. And Colombia, managed by Nestor Lorenzo, got to the quarterfinals in 2014 and the round of 16 last time they were in the tournament. Portugal then, Baz, they do look so strong. don't they? Was it Mark Langdon predicting they might win the whole thing?
Yeah, they look brilliant. Their squad looks absolutely formidable. And it's the massive obvious but there's no getting around it. Cristiano Ronaldo is still hanging around that squad like an eggy fart. And I just think his presence is incredibly damaging. Roberto Martinez keeps picking him. I don't know why. I guess he's having pressure put on him by both Cristiano Ronaldo and the Portuguese FA, because he must know that the presence of this man, this monstrous ego, is detrimental to the squad. Now, in the very unlikely event that someone can sit Cristiano Ronaldo down and say, mate, you're going to be a fringe player, just get behind the lads, you will get minutes. There's no reason why they couldn't go and win this tournament. On paper, their squad is as good as any other, I think. That's the massive, massive question mark over this squad.
Yeah, and you look at the rest of it, Bruno Fernandes,
and a slightly smaller question mark, João Felix is obviously still there. Which João Felix turns up?
Yeah, but the squad is amazing.
João Felix of the João Felix, it looks like he's never played football before.
And you look at their squad, Johnny. Vitinha, João Neves, Rafael Leao, Bernardo Silva, Mendes, etc., etc. But do you go along with Barry's assessment?
Look, I've had so much fun with Cristiano Ronaldo at tournaments over the last few years. I remember when he got dropped against Switzerland 4 years ago. I took great pleasure in writing a sidebar from the game that didn't mention him once. It was all about Gonçalo Ramos. It was all about, and then finally Portugal bring on their big man at the end, and Rafael Leao gets his goal. So and a couple of years ago, I wrote, when they went out to France, I wrote about I called him the chain wrapped anvil that will bring them all down. And I think that's basically the popular view these days outside Portugal. I actually, weirdly, I believe it a little bit less than I used to. First of all, you have the Nations League finals last summer, where Ronaldo does play a big part. He scores against Spain in the final. He scores the winner against Germany in the semi-final. The goal against Germany comes from a fierce Ronaldo press, which I didn't think, I didn't think he possessed.
Don't tell
anymore.
Wilson.
I know, Wilson, but he did it. If you watch the goal, if you go back a few phases, Ronaldo charges down the keeper, and they win back possession. I think he is prepared to knuckle down a little bit. He's sharing the free kick duties at Al Nassr with João Felix, which I think is a good sign. And I think if he does, if Barry says, if he does accept a reduced role, or the fact that he's not necessarily going to be the star of this team all of the time, and there are kind of signs that is happening, that he's sort of recognised that this is probably, you can never say certainly, this is probably his last World Cup. And whether there's this kind of Messi effect where everyone else says, let's win this one, let's run like bastards to win this one for him, and which is a kind of a mad reason to want to win a World Cup from an outside perspective, but does kind of have a weird internal logic to it. And the other factor is, who does play up front if Ronaldo doesn't? Because obviously, we're talking about the talent that's stacked in every other area of the team. But if it comes down to it, do you really want? Gonçalo Ramos has had very a nothing kind of season at PSG. João Felix, obviously, Rafael Leao's international scoring record is terrible. Ronaldo will have a role to play, and when it comes to marshalling that 6 to 18 yard area, there's actually nobody you'd want. Few players you'd want more in that position.
Well, it's amazing. I come listening to John here. I think that everything I thought before we started this preview is wrong. You sound very convincing, John. I have to say,
I convinced myself. I mean,
that's what I was thinking. Like, oh my goodness, Johnny is using arguments, exactly the arguments he needs to convince himself, which is not an easy thing to do, and it's very convincing. I do think that Gonçalo Ramos would be a better option than Cristiano Ronaldo, this being said. Like climbing down from that little cloud The other thing, part of the problem for me is the fact that I don't think that they've got the manager who is going to deal with that question particularly well. When you've got a manager who hates confrontation, absolutely hates it, even more than you, Max, which is saying something. He hates to put, to rub.
I love confrontation.
Yeah, you do.
Really, yeah.
He's more than a diplomat. He's a bit of a Pollyanna, really. So therefore, he's not going to address this. He's always going to be able to fall back on. Well, look at Ronaldo's international record. Look how important he's been in the recent past with us, and so forth. And then what the other players think about Cristiano Ronaldo, actually, I don't think anybody knows, because I don't think anybody would dare to say anything in Portugal about the great man, because you would immediately find yourself being ostracized. On the other hand, if you're talking about great squad, this is the most balanced, most complete squad of them all. I include France, certainly, but I also include Spain in that. It's by far, from one end of the pitch to the next, the most balanced. And the midfield is just insane. Really insane.
Yeah. And actually, Barry, the group looks friendly, doesn't it?
Yeah, so DR Congo are in the group, managed by Sébastien Deschamps. It's their first World Cup in 52 years. Obviously, DR Congo, massively populated country, but it's all constant conflict there. Most of their players are European, born in Europe. They've got Aaron van Bissaka, Axel Tuanzebe, Johan Wissa, who has not had a good season by any standards since he's moved to Newcastle. A Brazilian team, they're tactically disciplined. I think much of their realistic path to the knockout involves getting a result against Colombia in the second game and then beating Uzbekistan. And I don't think that's out of the question. They also have Sunderland's Arthur Masuaku.
Right. Any thoughts, Johnny, on Colombia or Uzbekistan?
Yeah, I mean, Colombia, about a couple of years ago, went on this incredible run. Between about 2023 and 24, they beat Spain, they beat Germany, Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, Chile, I think maybe Mexico. They reached the final of the Copa America. And at that point, you say, this is actually a legitimate contender. And what has happened to them since then, I don't really know. But I saw highlights of that France game where basically a first string Colombia loses, gets destroyed by a second string France, and it's really clear something's gone quite awry in that team. They're not taking John Duran. John Duran, I think is one of those guys who's, it's really sad. He's just kind of lost all kind of appetite for the game. They decided they couldn't take him. They went on a training camp in Spain. They decided they couldn't take him. And what you have left is a team based around James Rodriguez, who might even retire at the end of this tournament. He was 34. And a mixture of, I think, players who are a little bit past their peak. The guys like Yerry Mina and Luis Diaz, who has been brilliant for Bayern this season, but is 29 and has played a full club season at high intensity. So it's a team that's low on confidence and maybe not entirely sure of their best starting 11. Maybe not even entirely sure what their identity is anymore. So I think for the other two teams in this group, it could be kind of chaos. I'm really looking forward to this group because I don't think Colombia are going to perform like people are expecting them to. And DR Congo and Uzbekistan are the sort of teams that can create a lot of chaos in that group.
Whoever wins this group gets a lot easier run or draw, basically. Bracket, I think, is the word we're using these days, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, just to carry from what Johnny was saying about Colombia, if you look at that squad, it's old. It's very old. There are only 2 players under the age of 25 in it, which is very old, especially in modern football. And relying on players who've got tons of experience, but who are on the wrong side of 30 for the most part. So, and Johnny, I was also struck by how easily France dismantled them. So they were not probably famous last words, but this could be a pretty tough World Cup for Colombian supporters, is the way I would put it.
And finally, Barry, Uzbekistan. Beyond Fabio Cannavaro, what have you got for us?
Well, he was appointed after they qualified. Uzbekistan have a history of glorious failures and near misses when it comes to qualifying for the World Cup. They're at this one. Abdulkadir Kushinov, Man City defender, is obviously their best known player. They're expected to be a tough watch, trying to grind out draws and nick goals on the break. But it would be a surprise if they finished anywhere other than bottom.
All right, that'll do for Group K. We will finish our previews with Group L and England. Welcome to part 3 of the Guardian Football Weekly. Group L, then England, Croatia, Ghana, Panama. England, managed by Thomas Tuchel. The best they've ever done is they won it, actually, in 1966. Got to the quarterfinals last time. Harry Kane putting that penalty over the bar against France. Croatia, managed by Zlatko Dalic, runners-up in 2018, came third last time. They're indefatigable, aren't they? Ghana, managed by Carlos Queiroz, got to the quarterfinals in 2010. Of course they did. We all remember that game. Knocked out in the group stages last time. And Panama, managed by Thomas Christensen, have been there once before, 2018. Let's start with England then. David says, is this the most settled starting 11 England have had going into a World Cup? What do you think, Johnny?
Yeah, people keep moving the goalposts on England, don't they? 2018. The rap on England is that they always underperform at tournaments. 2018, you've reached the semi-finals. Oh, but you didn't play anyone. You didn't play anyone good. So you've never beaten anyone good. You lose to the first big nation you come up against. Euros 2021, they beat Germany, and they reached the final. Yeah, but you're on home soil. You can't really. And it's this sort of thing where nations become bad by virtue of having been beaten by England. So 2022, they played brilliantly against France in the quarterfinals, and they're a penalty kick away from potentially going all the way there. Yeah, but you've fallen short again. And then Euro 2024, they reached the final. Like, very unlikely. Oh yeah, but again, you didn't beat anyone good because Netherlands aren't a big footballing nation anymore, and also you played terribly. So it basically comes down to this, and if they win, then the whole thing is, the whole project almost is vindicated. And I think I've talked myself into this. I think they will. When I'm looking at teams going into a national tournament, I'm always asking what's their motivation, what's their greater purpose, what is their why, and it's kind of struck me with England that there's a real kind of sense of purpose, almost arrogance to them now. We are the best league in the world. We are the center of the footballing universe, and now's the time to prove it. They have, maybe not the best squad in terms of talent, but I really love the way that Tuchel has plotted out every area of the pitch and every kind of possible scenario, that he's picked a squad that is calibrated to the demands of a tournament. They know how to keep the ball now. They're pretty good at keeping the ball, to the point of view where where people start saying it gets boring. But they had the highest possession of European qualifying, which is going to be crucial in the heat. Declan Rice and Elliot Anderson and Jude Bellingham, if he starts, one of the best midfields in the tournament, and they have the best striker in the world potentially on current form. So I see no reason why they can't do it. It's just, can they get over this the neuroses and the shit that people will throw at them, and the kind of the circus that will follow them? I think that's the big unknown, because I think they've got all of the keys this time.
Harry, do you want to come any more after hearing that?
Yeah, look, I'm always concerned. I think this is a really good England squad. I have a lot of time for Thomas Tuchel as a manager. I suspect he will be better than Gareth Southgate. And by the way, imagine my shock last night. I was doing the washing up and I suddenly heard my own voice coming from the television. And I was in one of the opening scenes of the drama Dear England. Now, I don't remember giving anyone permission for that. I certainly haven't received a royalty check or a payment.
They're not creative enough. They're not positive enough.
No, I was talking them up. I was appalled. I was thinking surely they could have found an England journalist to do this. That's a job for Henry Winter if ever I saw one. But anyway, there I was. So yeah, that was a shock to the system. My phone lit up. You're in dear England. So anyway, that's by the by. My main concern for England will be the conditions, the heat, the potential of a game against Mexico in the quarterfinal. And but otherwise, I'd give them a great chance.
What do you think, Philippe?
I agree with that. When I heard Barry say my main concern for England, I think, is that England would win. I think that would be our top. Then we could have perhaps a little. I don't know if you're going to watch England's final game together, but we could have a replay of what you did in the past, which was
well, of course, yeah,
yes,
the jig, the chef's kiss. We know all the things.
Yeah,
I just don't ever believe they'll win it. I don't ever believe they'll win it, and I'm at peace with that. I don't think I'm just saying that to make myself feel better, but I agree with the other lads, Philippe, that there is balance to this squad. There is a sense of purpose. There is not just picking all, the attackers. There is a method with Tuchel.
Yeah, and it's a team of players who've won quite a lot of things with their clubs as well. It's a younger team as well. There have been some pretty sharp calls from Tuchel when he named his squad. They were the right choices, by the way. Perhaps the only thing you would, actually no, let's not squabble about that. And the fact is, he will be in a situation that I think no England manager has been in before in terms of his own relationship with the old country. He doesn't give a toss about it. He will not be ruffled by anything that's going to be put in the papers. Absolutely not. And I think this will have an impact on the players as well. And honestly, yes, I'm sorry, Max, but they're my favorites for the tournament. They are, absolutely. I don't, it's the momentum, it's the momentum, which there seems to be a right feel around that team. And it has the right ingredients. People used to say, well, they don't have the central defenders. Well, actually, no, they do. Oh, they don't have a defensive midfielder. Well, yes, they actually do. And forward, they're terrific. And blah, 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 you carry on. No, can do it. Absolutely.
Do you think Bellingham starts, Johnny, over Morgan Rogers?
I don't think so. I mean, I think Tuchel has shown that he's willing to cull the sacred cows. I think leaving out Foden and Cole Palmer was just, I know it made sense, but it was such an incredible thing for an England manager to do. And I think he won't have any compunction in, leaving Bellingham on the bench or subbing Harry Kane off after 60 minutes if he's having a stinker. I think he's got the authority and he's got the record and he's got, I think, the stubbornness and the bloody-mindedness to do that.
And I mean, we've talked about the squad a bit before, Barry, but I suppose there are a few surprises. Dan Burn and Jordan Henderson seem to be in as just sort of good lads. Maybe that is not fair. You could see Dan Burn being brought on if they're 1-0 down with 10 minutes to go, going, look, be a centre back when you're defending, but cause some problems up there. Ivan Toney as well is a really interesting selection. I
think Ivan Toney is a great pick. He takes a perfect penalty. There's no better penalty taker than him around anywhere. Look, this English thing of nitpicking over fringe players who probably won't get a minute or anything more than a handful of minutes, it's just ludicrous. I don't really want any part of it. The only selection I have any problem with is the omission of Adam Wharton. I think he's just a terrific player, but he's not there, so there's no point in worrying about him. I think England's first team is excellent. They've got 7 good, excellent replacements ready to come on if things get too hot or if they need to change things up. As Philippe has said, Thomas Tuchel doesn't care about any of the sideshow nonsense in the media or the silly questions at press conferences. He doesn't care what anyone thinks of him. He's not enamored to big names or star players. I think it's a great formula for success.
The other thing, it might be just an impression, but my impression is that this England team will arrive at the World Cup in a much better state physically than what I was expecting. So I think quite a few of us would be worried about the effect of burnout, super long season in the Premier League, clubs going quite far in European competitions, well, at least Arsenal and Villa and Palace, and so on. But that doesn't seem to be really the case. And when you look at the performance level of some of the key players in that side, Harry Kane is in absolutely astonishing form at the moment. Declan Rice is as good as he's been all season, which is really saying something. You're talking about really important players in this case. Even Morgan Rogers, who's played, over 50 games, still looks sharp. It's a team that looks sharper than previous incarnations, which tended to arrive at big competitions with players who were either out of form or even carrying slight injuries. And this time, Tuchel has decided players who are carrying slight injuries, I'm sorry, guys, you're not going to make it. And that is another argument in their favor, especially given the climatic conditions in which the tournament is going to be played.
It's the hope that kills you, isn't it? Ted says, at what stage will Croatia get tired? Amazing. Barry, Perisic is there, Kovacic is there, Kramaric is there, Modric is there. This is just glorious.
Yeah, look, this team were runners-up in 2018. They came third in 2022. Modric, Perisic, Kramaric, 462 caps between them, still there. It's just incredible. They do have some young blood. Luko Vuskovic is 19-year-old. He's been on loan at Hamburg from Spurs. He will be the heart of their defence, probably alongside Josko Gvardiol. Martin Baturina from Como is sort of the heir apparent to Luka Modric. Does Luka Modric start? I don't know. Is he come on? Has he got 90 minutes in him? Probably not in the heat. But the presumption seems to be that they will finish second, between them and Ghana, probably. I think it could benefit England to finish second in this group rather than win it, but that's a bit of a gamble to try and finish second rather than first. But I don't really know what to expect from Croatia. They're obviously good players, but they are pushing on, aren't they?
What about Ghana, Johnny? How do you see them?
Yeah, I genuinely don't understand why countries keep hiring Carlos Queiroz. Like, I mean, maybe
one team
he'll...
has to have them. One team has to have them.
One team has to have Carlos Queiroz. It's like, whose turn is it? It's like the Class Teddy. Who's got the Carlos Queiroz?
Who takes the goldfish home for the summer holidays? Yeah,
yeah. He's kind of weathered, and he's got a slightly worn patch. I don't know. I mean, he failed. Couldn't get Egypt to the World Cup. Couldn't get Colombia to the World Cup. Most recently at Oman. Like, what is it? What is it about this guy's CV that makes like a series of nations that this is our guy, this is the guy? Maybe it's the fact that he stood close to Alex Ferguson, the shimmering reflected glory. Look, they're not coming into this tournament in great form. Germany had a field day against them. Mexico had a field day against them. They've been in Wales doing their final preparations. And Queiroz has been, getting very antsy about all the Thomas Partey questions he's been getting. I would be surprised if they did well in this group or in this tournament. I would be surprised. We all know about the likes of Semenyo. We all know about Partey. Jordan Ayew, I think is still hanging around there. But I haven't seen anything from them that really should give England or anyone else any cause for pause.
For me, Ghana is one of those teams whose reputation, because of their name, is much brighter than what they actually have to offer. And it's been the case for a very long time for Ghana, who have always been the team of which so much was expected. I mean, it's back to the 60s when they didn't play in the 1966 World Cup, and they boycotted, basically. And when everybody said, oh, look at Ghana, they were fantastic. And it's always been like that, generation after generation. This idea that Ghana was somehow a kind of African superpower has taken hold, and that's just not true. It's not true. And their team looks not particularly well balanced to me. I don't think they will make a deep impression on that tournament at all, I'm afraid. Can I just add one thing for Luka Modric? Because this tournament is the tournament in which Modric is probably going to enter a very, very, very small club, which is the players who have got more than 200 caps for their country. is on 196 at the moment. Messi is on 198.
Mm-hmm.
So there's only two. I mean, there's Cristiano Ronaldo is way ahead, 226. And the second
Shea
most
Given
gap
is on 475.
Yes, and and so we could have two players coming into the 200 club.
So who's the other one? Did you say it's?
He was the other one was I've forgotten his name. He was yes, I've written it down actually because I had forgotten, and that's a quiz question I suppose. Next Monday in your favorite pub, it's Badr Al Mutawa from Kuwait, who retired in 2022 and who's got 202 caps.
Right. There we go.
Yeah,
Does anyone have a
Christine
line
Sinclair has entered the chat, by the way.
Oh yes.
I know we're
has anyone
now, but
has anyone got a line on Panama?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be the whipping boys people probably expect them to be. They got out of a group containing Bolivia, Uruguay, and the USA at the last Copa America. They got to the final of the CONCACAF Nations League. Their manager is Danish fella Thomas Christiansen, who I think had one appearance for Spain. That's what I've written down here. It was a long time ago I wrote that down, but I presume it's correct. And their opener is against Ghana in Toronto. I'm not going to say they could win it, but if they did, it would certainly shake things up.
Blimey, I just looked. Christine Sinclair, 331 games for Canada. So yeah, take that, Luca. Got to keep going for the next 20 World Cups. I wouldn't put it past him. Quickly then, so Philippe, you think England will win the whole thing?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
And you, Johnny?
yeah, I've gone from France to Spain to France to England in the space of the last 10 days. So come back in a few days. But at the moment, England.
Barry, who are you tipping for the whole thing?
France.
Okay, golden boot, everybody. Philippe?
Well, Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Got to be logical
Johnny?
here.
I'm going Haaland on the basis that he's playing Iraq in the group stage, and Haaland against Iraq could be even more of a mismatch than some of the other encounters involving Iraq in recent.
My tactical, in the absence of Christian Benteke, my tactical guess for this one, which could badly backfire, is Spain's Mikel Oyarzabal.
Jose Maria Thalabal. Okay, and then some dark horses then, Johnny.
I'm going Ecuador.
All right. Philippe?
I'm going, it's the first time I think that they've ever been called dark horses. I'm going for Germany.
Germany's a dark
Nobody
horse.
talks about Germany at all. Funny that.
That's true. But I still think they can't be a dark horse. They're always just a horse, aren't they? Baz, Turkey?
No, Ecuador are mine as well. Or Uruguay, or Senegal. I'm hedging.
Anyway,
Ecuador.
And Barry, I mean, we've heard England will win it from Philippe and Johnny. Where do you think England will go, Baz?
Round of 16 exit at the hands of Mexico.
Right, okay. To stay across...
This was the last episode of Wishful Thinking, starring Barry Glendenning.
Find us on TikTok, Instagram, Reddit, Blue Sky, etc., etc., etc. Keep listening to us or watching us on YouTube. Thank you, Philippe.
Thank you very much, Max.
Cheers, Johnny.
Thanks.
Cheers, Barry.
Well, I hope you're smirking on the other side of your faces in a few weeks.
Let it be noted, Barry, that I didn't smirk. I'm not doing any smirking. I'll only smirk if and when we lift the trophy, and I don't think it'll ever happen. See you in LA, Baz. Football Weekly is produced by Tayo Papula. Our executive producer is Joel Grove. Back for the World Cup.